always at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time, and the 49ers keep addressing their roster in big ways. Movement is the key, and also we got some insight into some players. Some players are showing up at practice, and some aren't. Now things really have to be ironed out.
Oh my goodness gracious me, Ant. This is a somber day indeed, just because of one of the names that's on that list.
Well, somber for us.
Somber for us. Maybe not for some 49ers fans. In fact, there's probably some 49ers fans who, see, I told you so.
Yep.
Look, hit the like button right now. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And let's jump into some of the things that are going on. And let's start first and foremost with a practice squad signing and then a subsequent corresponding move, right? They bring in Nathan Gerry onto the practice squad. And who did they let go in order to get that accomplished?
Corbin Kaufasi. I mean, this is not shocking, right? He got cut early on in training camp. He got cut, and then they ended up signing him to the practice squad, which I believe was a little surprising, but I think it's because they were worried about Aaron Banks and some of those guys being healthy, but now they're all healthy, and he can go. And bringing back Nathan Gerry, it makes sense, especially since you released Elijah Sullivan yesterday. So now you've got another linebacker. So they had already decided they were probably going to bring in Nathan Gerry. That's why they went ahead and made Sullivan the move yesterday. And then today they went ahead and protected Dontae Johnson as well. So he's the fourth guy protected. 49ers are getting closer and closer to the 6 veteran players that they can have on their practice squad. So now they have the 6 veterans. They have the 4 protected players. So they've finally started to finish the build of what this practice squad is going to look like. And some of these guys might have to contribute to this team as early as Sunday.
That's very true. They may end up having to. And they've protected 4 now in total. You got Travis Benjamin that they talked about yesterday as well as a guy who could come up and do some things right away. D. Virgin was another name that they're talking about. And D. Virgin, because there's questions about Emmanuel Mosley. Guys who DNP'd today, you had Kevin Givens, you had Jalen Hurd, you had Javon Kinlaw, and you had Emmanuel Mosley. Mosley, one of those names. Whether or not Kyle talked a little bit in his presser today before practice started about how he didn't think Mosley wasn't going to be going today and how he's not worried yet. He still thinks there's obviously a chance for Sunday. He wants to see how he looks going forward the rest of the day, but today was just not a day in which he was going to be good to go, physically ready, and able to do the things that he needed to do. So concerning questions, what does this mean? Are we rolling with Josh Norman for extended periods of snaps? Dontae Johnson being protected now as well. What does that exactly mean for this guy? It's going to raise a lot of questions. There's now, I would say, there's more concerns about the secondary as of this point in time, this moment, than there's been at any point in the offseason. You were hoping health-wise everyone would be good to go. Now the Niners are getting stretched a little thin, and they're definitely going to get tested this weekend if Emmanuel Mosley can't be healthy and cannot get himself on the football field.
Yeah, and this is why it was one of our 5 big questions. It was Emmanuel Mosley's health. It was something that's important to this team, important to the secondary. We don't know what it's going to be yet, but we knew they had to do something. And before, when we put that out there was no Josh Norman. Josh Norman came, a little bit after that. And so they answered a little bit of the bell. And Kyle Shanahan was talking about Norman and how he was going to be able to contribute to this team. He talked about football shape and the fact that, he looks good at practice, but they don't know for sure how many snaps they'd be able to get out of him. I think if it is a situation where Mosley doesn't play, you're probably going to get some sort of a split role between Deommodore Lenoir and Josh Norman. And if you do, then you'll see Norman out there for some snaps, but I think they are worried about him playing 65-plus snaps on defense. I don't know if his body's ready for that, and if they push him to it, he could get injured or whatever. He's a veteran, so he'll be able to tell them what he can do and what he's able to do. I think he's going to want to get out there and compete. But like we talked about with those accelerators in his contract, he had an idea that he was going to be able to get on the field, which means Emmanuel Mosley's not out of the woods, and the 49ers are not out of the woods of him playing. So Norman now, the signing of Norman looks even more impactful than it did a few days ago. We had the questions about Mosley. Now those questions are even more enhanced because we talked about it. If he doesn't practice on Wednesday or he's not practicing, that's when you start getting concerned. We are now officially concerned about the health of Emmanuel Mosley and whether he'll be able to contribute on Sunday, especially with Dontae Johnson becoming protected too. If the hip adductor is feeling better, he might be the better option than D. Virgin.
I agree with you there, and I think they're just trying to keep all those doors and all those avenues open, right, in terms of how they can go about addressing this cornerback room for the Sunday because you don't want to end up in a similar situation to last year where you're rolling someone else out there that you're not comfortable with and you make a last-minute move and decision for. So hopefully Emmanuel Mosley is good to go. But yeah, this is now the time where the questions are reasonable now. Having concerns about his health coming into this now, he's been dealing with it for some time with his hamstring. These things tend to linger. Hamstrings tend to linger, and if you're not able to get things going and get yourself right and your body right, it can just make it a whole heck of a lot harder to basically accomplish anything else. And if you roll on something like this, and even if you survive, right, you get through a game, you potentially lead to other issues and other flare-ups in other areas and other injuries popping up and other issues popping up with your body because you're not going to be operating at 100%. You're going to be moving a little fragilely, a little softly, right, differently than you normally would. And that could lead to issues with the back and other areas in the lower extremity as well. So hopefully Emmanuel Mosley's good. He still has a few days. So don't get me wrong. By no reason is it time to fully hit the panic button. But now it's time to go into the room, at least with the panic button, and look at it, make sure you know where it's at, so that way you can hit it if you need to.
I still think it never gets to panic, just because
I hope so.
You had Deommodore Lenoir that went through all of training camp and looked improved. I mean, he did look improved, and you've got Josh Norman that can give you some snaps, and he's a guy that has been one of the better corners in this football league for a long time. So you have guys that you can count on. Plus, when it's one corner that you're making up for, you can do bracket coverage. You can do, give some protection over the top with the safety and kind of disguise and hide what is going to happen with that corner. Not to mention you have one of the best pass rushes in the NFL. You'll be able to get after the quarterback and make Jared Goff beat you. Goff will have to take advantage of that, and if he makes a mistake, then you got money. So the 49ers can still scheme it up, but it does make it a little bit more difficult. I think we're a lot more comfortable with Emmanuel Mosley. But no, I will not smash any panic button at any time, even if he doesn't play. I will just smash that sucks button because I want him to actually be on the field because I want to see the 49ers defense at full strength. Full
strength is what we want. Full strength is what we need. But yes, you're right. And this pass rush is going to be at full force. We're going to get to see, hopefully, the full effect of the gold rush. But there are questions still about Javon Kinlaw. He was one of the DNPs with that knee stuff. I'm not too concerned about this because he's been going up until this point in time. This could just be one of those things where they're trying to protect him. This is the first day installation. He can learn the installation without having to be out there necessarily executing it, especially if it's something he's already familiar with, a scheme or a concept. So I'm not too concerned about it yet, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on going into tomorrow, right? And then heading into Friday.
I have a feeling that Javon Kinlaw is going to miss a lot of days of practice this year, but not a lot of football games.
Done.
I think he's going to be playing, and I think he's going to miss some practices, and I think they understand that. That's what they're going to do to keep this guy healthy and out on the football field. The cool thing was Kyle Shanahan talked about a pitch count for Ford and Bosa, and he said there's not going to be a pitch count. He doesn't believe in that. You do what you need to do to win, no matter how many snaps that takes. Yes, they have an idea of how many they would like him to play because of personnel groupings and situations, coverages and that sort of thing. But they're not going to be stuck completely to it. This isn't like the preseason where they're going to play 8 plays or 15 plays. So that is good news for the 49ers. And the fact that they have such a deep defensive line and that rotation could be continually going through each player as you make these line changes, Kinlaw doesn't have to play as many snaps as he played last year. So Kinlaw is going to be able to get out there and make a lot of plays. And we're going to get to see a lot of Ford and Bosa, which means we're going to get to see a lot of Jared Goff on the run, on the move, and a lot of Penei Sewell, unfortunately, off balance and just looking like, I'm sorry, I'm a rookie. Unfortunately, this isn't Oregon anymore. Follow the yellow brick road because you need to go home, son.
He's going to get taken home. He's going to get taken home.
He's going to be taken somewhere.
It's not going to be fun for Penei Sewell, hopefully not.
No.
Look, I'm excited about this. I'm not super worried or concerned about Kinlaw, and I think you're right. I think this is going to be the trend this year with this guy coming off the little minor, non-super invasive surgery that he had this offseason on the knee. This is one of those things where you're just going to do everything that you can to make sure that he's healthy and good to go come game day, and then let him roll out there and do what he needs to do. I like hearing that also about Ford and Bosa not being on a pitch count. They will still be on they'll be on a do we really need to put them out there count is what I'm going to call it. Right? Kyle Shanahan is not going to just roll these guys out there every snap or 85% of snaps. He's definitely going to pick and choose the spots, especially early on with these guys. But I like that, right? That's the competitive nature. That's the competitiveness. That's a team that has their mind on the prize and their eyes focused on the goal and the task in front of them, which is getting back to a Super Bowl, getting that win, right, and bringing that Lombardi trophy home. You can't do that if you're coddling and babying these guys the entirety of the way, right? Not, if you're too afraid to pull the trigger and put them out there, you're going to end up making decisions essentially that could end up costing your team. Kyle Shanahan basically coming out there kiboshing that. No, we're going to put our team in the best position possible. We're going to put our best players out there when we need to, and we're going to make sure we get the job done.
Yeah, and he went over kind of the talk that they have with medical staff about where people sit. If these guys are limited in the amount of snaps they are, they're full participants or what they can handle. So they're going to have a very nice plan made out with the player, with the medical staff. And they're going to know what these snaps are. I'm sure they do have a limit that they would like for these guys not to play, no matter what that is. But D Ford says he's back to what he's supposed to be, like what he was supposed to play. He's not going to be a specialist or any of that. He's going to be out there playing football. And I think D Ford wants to prove he can still play football at a high level. So I'm excited to see this group. I'm excited to see the rotation, how Chris Kasarik and D'Amico Ryans implement their defensive game plan. How many times we see the outside guys on the inside and the inside guys on the outside, depending on the situation, and how many times they're sitting in base sets and how many times they're getting after it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing this defensive line attack Detroit's offensive line.
Attack. Looking forward to that as well, Ant. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got to get to this now, Ant. This is hard. I know you don't want to. I know we don't want to talk about it. It's not great. It's not a fun thing to talk about. But there is a possibility that Jalen Hurd could end up going to the IR. Question was asked in the presser today. Kyle Shanahan essentially said yes and no, not beating around the bush, got right to the point. Yes, Jalen Hurd could be an IR candidate. He felt good after that game against the Raiders with the knee. The tendonitis stuff wasn't bothering him. He came into practice, and all of a sudden, some issues, some tightness, and just not feeling right, and it really hasn't gone away. So Shanahan, Hurd, training staff, all of them obviously a little concerned, a little worried, and definitely don't want to put this guy in a position where he can go out there and hurt himself. And so he may need some more recovery time, some more rest time. Putting him in IR frees up a roster spot as well. May make it right so that you can bring up Travis Benjamin. No ifs, ands, or buts, no worries about it, short-term wise. And then also free up another roster spot to add some depth somewhere else if you absolutely need to. Concerning, frustrating. And how are you feeling about all this? Because you're the Hurd train conductor, right? I'm just the guy punching tickets and making sure everyone's on board. You're conducting this train, though.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about all this?
Well, the first thing I want to talk about is kind of the implications that this causes. Number one, because you have Travis Benjamin. If you put Jalen Hurd on the IR and then you promote Travis Benjamin to the active roster, you're eventually going to have to make some sort of decision there. That's why they're going to be patient with IR. Another reason is if Jalen Hurd goes on IR, he can't practice. So that that is set in stone, and you know what you're not going to get from him. So I think they're trying to figure out where that area is going to be. That when is a good time for him to return. What they tried to do was similar to what they did before, where he practiced against the Chargers, didn't play in the game. They arrested him. They kind of shut him down, and then he was ready to go for the Raiders. They tried to do the same thing and shut him down and think that he was going to be ready for this week. That didn't work. So now they're shutting him down again. Now, I think what their hope is going to be is that they shut him down right now, and then next week he's going to be ready to go. I think next week is when they decide, because they have Travis Benjamin that they can actually pull up and use for 2 weeks where he can play on the active roster before he needs to be promoted. So they can use him in that time period and give Jalen Hurd the extra time. If after those 2 weeks Jalen Hurd is not ready to go, you throw him on the IR, you bring Travis Benjamin up, and that way you've had Travis Benjamin for at least 5 weeks of the season. Gets you kind of to the bye, right? It gets you right there where then you can make a decision on what you want to do with Jalen. This is disappointing overall because I think I really want to see him on the field, but never once in my mind did I ever deny that this was a possibility. There were always moments that I said I thought IR was a possibility after they went to the 53-man roster. I just thought we were out of the woods because one of the things Kyle said was if he makes the roster, like it's good to go. And so I was kind of expecting a Maurice Hurst thing if we weren't going to have this guy healthy right away, where it was going to be, okay, the next day he's on the IR and Travis Benjamin or somebody is signed. But he's very clear that he's comfortable with the 5 receivers they have, besides Jalen Hurd. So Jawan Jennings, and that makes sense why Jawan Jennings would make the roster now. He does, he has a similar body type. He doesn't do the similar things, but he has a similar body type to Jalen Hurd. So they could go that route. They could also have Travis Benjamin be the 5th receiver and actually have Jalen Hurd and Jawan Jennings as an active. So it's going to be curious. Disappointing to not be able to see Jalen Hurd out there, of course, but hopeful that at some point they're going to figure this out. He's going to get on the field, and yes, everyone is warranted and able to say that he can ever stay healthy because so far he hasn't proven that he can, and until he does, they have every right to say that.
Just frustrating. It really is. I mean, that's the key word here. It's not disappointment. It's not anything, because it's not like this guy is doing this on purpose, right? He's not sitting there.
You wouldn't think so.
He's not sitting here going, hey, you know what? I really like football and everything, but playing in a game, nah, I'd rather just sit on the side. It's not what's happening, right? This guy's pushing. He's grinding. The training staff's doing the things that they can do to try and help. The coaching staff is doing things that they need to do to help. Jalen Hurd's not out being photographed bowling, right, and doing stupid things out in public.
And bowling is pretty awesome.
It is pretty awesome. But Jalen Hurd's not out doing things, right, in the public eye, in the public sphere, outside of the football team. You know, Jalen Hurd is focused. He's doing the things that he needs to do for this organization inside, right, both in the facility and out of the facility. And it's just not going his way. His body, every way Jalen Hurd turns, what if I do it this way? His body's like, no, screw you. That's not how this works. You're going to be in pain today. And it's just unfortunate. It really, really is. And it's frustrating as a fan base. It's frustrating as a coaching staff. And, as frustrating as it is for fans, right? As frustrating as it is for us, as frustrating as it is for Kyle Shanahan. Can you imagine Jalen Hurd, how just absolutely teed off he has to be at all times? Maybe there's a reason Jalen Hurd doesn't talk to anybody, right? Or doesn't talk to the media. It's because what positive things can Jalen Hurd have to say? Because no matter what this guy seems to do, his body does not want to cooperate with him.
Yeah, it doesn't. Unfortunately, this guy cannot get on the field. He's a lot farther than he's ever been since he's gotten hurt. This is the closest he's ever been to being able to participate and contribute to this football team. Unfortunately, he's not going to be on the field early on in the season, but there is still hope for the end of the season. Part of this with trainers and with a person, a player like this, is they're trying to figure out what their limitations are and then what steps they can take to make sure they're healthy and ready to go every week. You see players figure this out with maintenance days and stuff. We have Jason Verrett. He takes days off all the time as he's fixing things, getting things together. That's what I think Javon Kinlaw is going to do. They have a set, parameters around his rehab and what he needs to do every week to recover from, playing in football games, which is a tough thing to do. And I think they're going to figure it out for Jalen. But unfortunately, the knee is not responding the way that they were hoping. Kyle Shanahan is definitely, wants this guy out there, wants him to be a participant on the team. But at some point, they're going to have to make a decision. I don't think they have to make a decision right this second, right now.
No.
But I think sometime next week, that decision will get made because they're going to have to do something with Travis Benjamin. And part of it, it kind of frustrates me a little bit because I didn't want them to have to choose between having Travis Benjamin be activated and then, them cutting someone eventually. So hoping that this doesn't, prove to be that, but you got to do what you got to do. And you couldn't afford to lose Jalen Hurd to a contender by cutting him because he wasn't healthy. So now you just got to live with this, and hopefully he can come back after a few weeks if the IR is what is necessary. But I'm really, really hoping he plays against Philly.
I hope so, too. I really want him out there against Philadelphia. I want to be able to see this guy operate in space. I want to see him be able to do the things that, we think he can do and that Kyle Shanahan believes and knows that this man can do. So, Jalen, get healthy. Ant really wants to wear that 14 jersey.
I do.
We want to see you out there on the field operating. We want to see this Kyle Shanahan offense fully unlocked.
I'll be honest. I think NFL Shop knew because now the jersey's not coming in until after Sunday.
Oh, big yikes.
Yeah, so...
Wow, someone at NFL Shop has the download deets.
Yep, I got the update today. It's like, oh yeah, it's not going to be here till next week. So
what a bunch of jerks.
Okay, it'll work out.
It will. It ends
hello,
up,
Philly.
Hello, Philadelphia. Watch out. It's going to be fun if this guy can get himself out there.
If he can get healthy.
That's. We won't go into the bigness or the size of the ifs. Let's just hope it happens.
Everyone knows what it is.
Look, some guys who full practice today. These are good news, right? We can go from the somberness that is Jalen Hurd to the good news of these guys who are getting healthy and getting ready to go. Brandon Ayuk, full go participant. Aaron Banks, full go participant. Nick Bosa and D Ford. Oh my goodness gracious. Anthony Gold Rush in full effect. It's coming. Dre Greenlaw and Jason Verrett. All the worries about Jason Verrett. Is this guy going to be good to go? But he's fine. He's full going. Definitely part of the plan, right? Today was the first day of installations. Kyle Shanahan talked about, the installation day and how for him this is a very exciting day, obviously, because as a coach, this is your game plan. You're putting it in. You're installing the thing that you've been spending time on, that you've been crafting, right? Staying up hours on end, right? Trying to find a way to attack the opponent. They're putting all that in. They're getting that done. And so now you have all of these pieces that have been taking some time off, full go, ready to go, stepping out there, learning the game plan, right? Getting ready to execute and do the things you need to do against these Detroit Lions come Sunday for this week 1 matchup. I liked seeing those names. It feels good to see those names. It doesn't surprise me that they're all going, right? The only question will be, which of the guys on the DNP list end up get themselves going right. Come Thursday, come Friday, coming into Saturday with walkthroughs or whatever it is they're going to do Saturday, heading into that Sunday game.
Yes, it's nice to have almost the entire roster out there, all the guys that you need to have out there. There's only a few guys that are question marks now, and that's what you're hoping for when you get into this part of the season. And this is when football just got real. Implementation of the game plan is when football gets real. And now everything is about beating Detroit. Everything is about planning for them. Everything is about going out and executing. And that's what the team is trying to do. So they finally reached the point now where it's not about, getting your body in shape, but it's about maintaining, your body. All the while learning the ins and outs of what they're going to be, seeing and approaching. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult because this is a new coaching staff in Detroit. There's a new defensive coordinator. There's a new offensive coordinator. There's Dan Campbell. Everything's going to be a little bit different in how he approaches it. They didn't show a lot during the preseason. You can't get a lot of information from watching those preseason games. I found out, unfortunately, and I had to sit through and watch them, and which is ridiculous. No one should be forced to do that. I'm sorry, Lions fans. I just had to take a little shot. It was fun. But anyways, it's going to be a little bit interesting what the 49ers game plan is, right? You still have a little bit of question marks around the quarterback position, whether it's going to be primarily just Jimmy Garoppolo or if Trey Lance is actually going to suit up. We know that if Trey doesn't suit up, then it'll be Suddy as the backup, and then we're going to see all Jimmy all the time. But if Trey suits up, we're going to get, Trey and Jimmy going in and out. I think that is something that's going to be very clear early on. So getting to this point where we get game planning and we get all the players back is the fun part. Now, if everyone could just get back in time for Sunday, I'll be really excited because if we go in there with our strongest 48 players, we're going to come out of that game with a victory.
Big time, a big victory, and that's what we want. That's what this team needs. This is how the season needs to start. Getting these guys back healthy, going is important, and getting Trey Lance out there. Trey Lance is another guy who's out there actually throwing some footballs today. So slowly making the step, right? Slowly progressing towards being active and able and not willing, but capable of executing and doing the things within the offense that he needs to be able to do for this offense to have success and for him to have success. Because the reality of the situation is, right, if he can't grip and throw the ball comfortably, there's no telling what could happen. There's no telling, where the ball is going to come out, how it's going to come out of his hands, whether it's wobbly, whether it has the velocity it needs to get there, right? When you have an injury like that on your throwing hand, if it doesn't feel right and you aren't able to grip and do the things of the ball that you want to do, it changes everything that you do as a quarterback. It changes how you process, your release, your confidence in your release and the things you're doing and the decisions you're making, because if the ball's not coming out with the speed you're used to, or something doesn't feel right as it spins out of your hand, you're going to start double clutching, second guessing. And Trey's already a rookie, right? He's already at times second guessing what he's seeing because he doesn't want to make those mistakes because he's a guy who hasn't made a lot of them in his college, high school career.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to make a lot of mistakes.
No.
I have a lot of faith in what Trey Lance sees and what he does because he has the X factor of pulling the football down and running. So if he doesn't like what he sees, he can do that. You don't want that consistently, that's why if he was getting starter snaps and he was doing that consistently, eventually it would catch up with him, whether it was him getting, hit hard and hurt or him missing opportunities and, getting receivers upset, whatever that is. But in a limited role, he's going to be very successful and they're going to find plays, and situations where he can be successful. That's what they want to do. They want to get him on the field and, just have him make rhythm throws. I think we just want to see Trey make rhythm throws. I think he'll settle in. That's why it'd be really nice to get him out there in week 1. Then he can settle in the rest of the year with his role and with the, everything playing in NFL. He's not used to playing in the NFL. He's the rookie, for gosh sakes. Even though everyone acts like he's the guy that should be, leading the league already.
Well, he's the second coming.
That's what it seems like sometimes. And I just want to see this guy out there ripping it and letting it fly. I want to see him play loose. I would love to see him not think as much and just kind of go out there and go off, execute, and go off emotion. But we'll see if that happens. We'll see if Trey cuts loose and lets it roll. Hopefully he's playing in this game because I really do want to see the two quarterbacks work in tandem.
I do. I want to see the Shannon plan executed, right? I want Dan Campbell's prep work to not be in vain, right? I want to see how that prep work, I want to see this chess game, essentially. I want to see how this chessboard lays out with all of Kyle Shanahan's pieces, all the queens he has out there on the board, and whatever, Dan Campbell's using out there for pieces on that board. Because while some of them, they're not all pawns, but there's limited pieces. There's limited weapons, let's put it that way.
Yeah, there are some limited things, they can do on the offensive end. So what they have to do is take advantage of their matchups, and they do have some guys that are a little bit of matchup issues. like Hawkinson. I mean, Hawkinson's a guy that can win in all situations. He's a really good blocker. So the safeties are going to have a lot to worry about. The safeties have to make sure that they lock him up, make sure they know where he is at all times. And then we don't know about the health of DeAndre Swift, but he's been practicing, so let's see what happens. If he gets the run game going, the 49ers are going to struggle. If the 49ers are able to stop him early on, it changes the game. And we know Detroit is going to predicate their entire offense on getting the run game going and establishing that. 49ers stop it on early downs. Jared Goff and this offense are going to have a hard time converting third downs, especially if you take Hawkinson out of the game. So stop the run, stop Hawkinson. That'll go a long way into helping you win this football game and put yourself in a good situation to get out of this game unscathed and get on to Philly so that way you can win 2 in a row instead of just 1.
We want that. We want to pile those wins up, slowly start to build them, but you can't eat an elephant ant all at once. It's one bite at a time, as Phil Classic would say.
Yeah.
So let's handle these Detroit Lions, right? Let's focus, let's dial in, let's get this done, and then we can move on to those Eagles out there and getting some revenge, right? Revenge for last season, and Nick Mullins just absolutely handing them the game. You know what I didn't realize, Ant? I never realized this, right? Nick Mullins literally handed them a W and then signed with them in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Coincidence? I think not.
Well, they cut him.
True. And then he ended up in Cleveland.
I'm just surprised they signed him after playing against him and seeing what he put on film.
Well, I mean, maybe that was the whole plan. Maybe Nick Mullins gifted him that, right? And then ended up. We can go there, Ant. We can go into super. Do we need to have an additional conspiracy theory episode here on the channel? No, it's season. We don't need to do that anymore. We got tons of things to talk about other than crazy conspiracy theories about Nick Mullins.
No, Nick Mullins is just bad. I mean, he just played bad against Philly and then signed with them, and they thought, well, maybe he'll play different in another system, and found out, no, he's still bad.
Their head coach walked into the quarterback coach's room and said, Nick Mullins, this is a good depth piece, right? There's only one problem. Not any good.
It's true. And unfortunately, there are still 49er fans that want Nick Mullins in San Francisco.
Y'all, I mean, to each their own, I guess. And no thank you. Never. 20-foot pole.
I mean, we are talking about, but then again, there's people like me that want Dante Pettis on the practice squad, so.
That's the difference between practice squad
they want Mullins on the practice squad.
Okay, those ones, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I just know we're one injury away from Nick Mullins being backed on the active roster, and I don't want that, so.
Would you rather have Mullins or Suddy?
As of right now, Suddy, for one reason and one reason only, Suddy, right, hasn't made the game-breaking mistakes and errors and terrible decisions that Nick Mullins has made. I cannot forgive that pick against the Eagles. I cannot forgive it.
Fair enough.
I saw it. Like, I as he was winding up to throw, I was like, don't throw that. There's no one up. Why would you throw that? Who does that? Nick Mullins does it, and you know what? No, I can't. Let's not go on a tangent here on Nick Mullins. Let us know what you thought about this breakdown of the practice squad moves and the roster updates down below in the comment section. Right now, are you excited about Nathan Gerry being back on the practice squad? Are you ready to smash the panic button? Not just go into the room and make sure you spot it, but kick the door down and dive on it like a live grenade to protect everybody. You need to smash it right now. Let us know what you think. Are you worried? Are you not worried? Are you excited about D Ford and Nick Bosa being full go? We want to hear about it from you, Cutback crew, down in the comment section. And while you're down there commenting away, don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Share the video with the rest of the faithful and head on over to the 49ers Cutback shop. We got some great gear and some great merch over there for you, including wonderful 49ers Cutback shirts, Cutback crew apparel as well, and your training camp 2021 t-shirts, which will be gone by the end of this week.
Yeah, things are going to be going quick. And one thing we forgot to mention is who the captains are, Alex.
Oh my gosh.
49ers captains, Eric Armstead, Jimmy Garoppolo, George Kittle, Jimmy Ward, Fred Warner, and Trent Williams.
Man, I'm stunned.
Yeah, those guys are the captains in the clubhouse. I think we had a good idea that some of these guys are going to be in there, but the fact that it's all 7 of those guys is a very, very nice group and unit. They're going to be leading this football team, and I like it. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot too. I'm shocked it wasn't Wisniewski. I bet you they were going to, and then he changed numbers, right? And they're like, it's too late now.
What did he get for that number change?
A whole lot of.
Hopefully he got paid by Sanu.
I imagine Sanu gave him a nice little stack there.
Yeah,
little something.
Hopefully something nice.
Cool $250,000. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean,
the truth is, Wisniewski probably didn't care. He just got some extra green out of it.
No, in all honesty, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he just paid. Maybe Sanu just paid for his whatever.
Maybe you had to give him
whatever Wisniewski jerseys are just sitting out there, right? That you have to whenever you make those number changes. What is it, like probably 2 of them?
Probably had to give him a stack for every single digit on that jersey.
Probably. And you know what? Hey, any Mitch Wisniewski people out there, now's the time to go get an old Mitch Wisniewski jersey. They're going to be discounted heavy.
Yeah, I'm sure those are high sellers. Yeah,
top of the line. Top of the line.
He does change the field now. Flip the field in a big way.
He's a field flipper indeed. Tip the hat to Wisniewski. Looking forward to seeing you out there in 18, sir. Cutback crew. Until the next one, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.